bar. Our Pete's-trained baristas can make that perfect cappuccino, latte, or mocha to hit the spot any time of day. Prefer a cup of freshly prepared drip coffee? We have that too. Cozy up with a cup of warm goodness anytime. We're here for you.
Good morning and welcome to KGUA in Gualala 88.3 FM. I'm your host today, Leigh Anne Lindsey, and I have some excellent guests lined up to talk with us today. They are the newest owners of the Elk Cove Inn and Spa up in Elk, and we're going to get to them in just a moment. We have our local announcements to do first, and then we will settle in and find out what is happening up the coast at the Elk Cove Inn and Spa. First of all, let's talk about up north of Elk in the town of Mendocino. The Mendocino Music Festival starts today, this afternoon at 3 p.m. at Preston Hall in Mendocino. It is Maurizio, the life and times of Maurice Ravel. And that is going to again be in the Preston Hall. For more information, contact 707-937-4041. And the Point Arenas Farmers Market is this afternoon at 3 p.m. as well to 6 p.m. And that's in the old pharmacy parking lot in Point Arena. There's also the farmers market here in Gualala, and that's going to be Saturday morning, 9:30 to 12:30. And then today, Studio Discovery Tour preview show, Friday, July the 7th, from 4 to 6 p.m. And that's going to run from July 7th to September 4th. It is that time of year. Studio Discovery Tour is back. And it is an amazing tour to participate in. But you can see the artists that are going to be on the tour in Discovery Gallery, which is right there in the Sea Cliff Center here in Gualala. And then we have also on Saturday, Mill Bend Preserve open house. Attendees can tour the renewed Gualala Cemetery and hike the new trails. You need some sturdy footwear. And if you have any questions, there's going to be some docents there. That's 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's right here at Mill Bend at 46902 Old State Highway. For more information, you can go to rclc.org. And again, that's rclc.org. The opening reception for Know the Exquisite, featuring the works of artist Brandy Gale, is opening reception 2 to 4 p.m. And that is Saturday at the Dolphin Gallery. And then the gallery is open 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday through Monday. And at the Gualala Arts Center, it is Chamber Music Weekend. And that is going to be 4 p.m. each Saturday and Sunday. And that is at the Gualala Arts Center. For more information, go to gualalaarts.org or call 884-1138. And that's going, one more thing I did want to mention is the wonderful artist Erin Lee Gaffel is back in town, and she is doing a plein air affair, paint out and fundraiser this coming Tuesday. And that's going to be at Black Point Cove by the Sea Ranch Lodge. And for more information, call Gualala Arts 884-1138. And then we have Sunset and Jazz back on Thursday at the Lodge with Harrison Ford and the band. And so just check that out. That's coming up Thursday. And that's going to do it for our local announcements. And it's time to get into our morning show. And we are live on YouTube as well. I'm going to welcome to KGUA the newest owners of the Elk Cove Inn and Spa. That's Melissa Boon and Victor Passalacqua. Good morning.
Good morning, Leigh Anne. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good to see you both. And I want to let our audience know that Victor was born in Peru and comes from Spanish and Italian descent. And he got his hospitality management education in Switzerland. And then Melissa is a trained sommelier, and they both are the new innkeepers, and they built up and started a French restaurant. And this Elk is about 45 minutes from Gualala and about 150 miles north of San Francisco and just south of Mendocino as well, about 25 miles. And it's a beautiful little resort that is got its own little cove and is nestled inside of there. So we're going to find out how these guys became the innkeepers and where they came from. So who would like to start, Victor or Melissa?
I don't know.
I'll take the lead on
Melissa,
that
why
one.
don't you get it?
Kind
Right.
of a long COVID story, but it was just happenstance, really. We had sold everything in Miami, Florida, which is where we lived for many years, and wanted to go full-time RVing to discover the rest of the United States that we hadn't seen and do some odd jobs and learn about homesteading and self-sustainability. And
The final plan was to move back to Europe, to the south of France. But because of COVID, we couldn't go. But we had an RV. So then Melissa wanted to go RVing. So we decided, I remember asking her the question, have you visited the United States? And she told me, yeah. And we started, with little, have you been here? No, there, no, yeah, there. We all visit the same thing, New York, LA, Miami, big towns, and then, the United States. And then we started talking about it. And I proposed before we move anywhere else, why don't we visit the United States first? And that's how it started. We sold everything and we started just traveling with the idea of traveling, but then we realized that everything was closed.
because of COVID,
Because
all
of
the
COVID.
campground, all the state parks, everything had shut down. So it just made things a little bit more complicated.
A lot more complicated,
Well,
And
you're talking to someone who also lived in an RV for a year back in 2016 to 2017. So we were pandemic, but I know that lifestyle and it was a lot of fun traveling around. I went to Wyoming and Colorado and mountain states, but that's a fun lifestyle to have. And then I discovered you guys because I go up and down the coast. And I remember I think it was 2 or 3 years back, I noticed there was a garden that went up by the Elk Cove Inn and it was covered. And I thought, well, this is interesting. They've added a garden. I wonder who's doing that. That must have been about the time that you both found the place.
That was the first thing that we did when we arrived. We needed to somehow, and it wasn't for a restaurant. It was because of COVID. And I'm a pessimist by nature. So I go like, if this thing continues, I don't mind many things, but I have to have good food and good wine. So this is the perfect place. So I figure wine, it doesn't matter where you are here, you're going to find wine. Now, food, that was the problem. So we decided, let's start right now. The first thing by the third day that we were here, to build a greenhouse, build the raised beds and everything, things that we've done before. But in the city, when you say, I want my raised bed like this, and like this, and you go and somebody else does it. Here, there was no one. So that was the first thing that we started. It wasn't for any other reason but necessity.
And you are right near Anderson Valley wine country. So that's perfect pairing, of course. And I saw that you guys had participated in the Crab and Wine Days, which is a big event in Mendocino County every year. And I saw the foods that you had prepared and the wines that you had, paired them with, and from Hush and Roederer and I think it was Toulouse and a few others, Phillips Hill. But our family has owned property in Mendocino County since 1980, and I've been going up and down Anderson Valley for a long time. And we actually have 22 acres of Cabernet grapes on our property, but we sell it to a lot of other big winemakers who then bottle it and all of that. So you guys, How did you decide that it was going to be a French restaurant? And you are so talented because I stayed there, I tried your food, and I was blown away how
I
good
don't know how to do anything else. What else am I gonna do? That's all I done all my life.
you've worked with some top chefs, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. I work at the time with the best chefs in the world, not necessarily the best people in the world, but definitely I will. If my son would have told me that he wanted to do what I did, I would have absolutely never allowed him to do that. But in the other hand, all people, I learned how to buy seafood, not at the store, in the ports. When the boats were coming in Nice with, the best at the time for me, and still is, Paul Bocuse, a chef that, incredible. A lot of controversy about that, of course, like in anything else. To me, he is, and he will be the guy. I mean, I look at everything everywhere, all over the world. Everything derived from something that he did. So basically, I was very lucky to work with people like him. I was fired at one point because I was told that I was too young, and in order for me to move up, I had to kill somebody because the people that work in those kitchens work there for 25, 30 years. And so at that point is, I believe, where my career started, when I started being sent from one place to another. You do one season there, you do one season there. The person that changed my life was Edouard Merat, a French chef, one of the first MOF, Meilleur Ouvrier de France, that were named, and then Paul Bocuse. And why do I do French? Because that's what I know. I do Italian, I know Spanish cuisine, I know Peruvian cuisine, but I don't master any of them. I like them. And I can do them. French food, I master. So that's what comes easier. And it's like when you're a kid, when you grow up, you have a Harley Davidson, but you always remember your little red tricycle. And that's what it was, coming back here without cooking for many, many years, doing many other things, but not actually cooking. And when cooking was involved, it was with 50, 60 other people, and you tell them what to do, you don't cook. And here it was a different experience because it was a necessity.
Just as a parenthesis, the restaurant started as an amenity to the inn for the guest. Again, during COVID times, you had to drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to go to a restaurant, and a lot of places were doing takeout only. So, our guests didn't want to come to Elk and then have to drive that long way and eat in their car takeout. So, we were eating, so it just started little by little. It was one guest, and we're like, oh, well,
I started with the nun. The nun. You remember the nun? A traveling nun that was coming somewhere from Oregon, I think. And older lady, and 70s, late 70s, and she was driving an old car. And she stopped. At the time, we had the door barricaded to the parking lot. And she just asked if she could spend the night outside in the parking lot because she was way too tired. So we look at each other and we go like, it's a nun, sure. So she comes in, and we have rooms that are empty. It's closed.
They were only allowing essential travelers and essential workers.
But the lady didn't have any money either. So we told her, listen, just stay there, And then she goes to the car and she grabs a bag of chips and the meat
jerky.
And jerky. That's it. She had a bag of chips and jerky. So she goes, oh, I'm going to sleep well and eat well. So I go like, we're going to eat, come and join us. We live here and you eat there. At least we see each other.
I love this story.
And that's how it started. All of a sudden, when the lady leaves, she tells me I have no money, but she tips me with 2 joints.
Which we came from Miami.
We come from Miami.
He was like, what are you doing?
I have liquor licenses in Florida. That's criminal. That is, and I'm going like putting it down and going up. Is there a camera? Is there a camera? No, we don't do that. We don't do that.
So, but that's how, that's how we started the restaurant, and it was little by little. It wasn't meant to be a restaurant. When we first came here, Victor wasn't supposed to be cooking. We were both going to be innkeeper, and little by little, it just, it just went that way, and it's great. And now the inn is getting people, our guests that come here for dinner as out of house guests, and then they have such a wonderful experience that they come back as our guest for the inn as well. And so it's just it really works well together.
I understand that TripAdvisor has your resort there, the Elk Cove Inn and Spa, is number 1 out of 77 other bed and breakfasts in Mendocino County.
That's right. We've
We're
we have some really good guests.
And I think that a big difference as well, visiting a lot of places, and most they're all great, but I think there's a difference between having a manager on site and the owner on site.
Right.
When it's your place, you'll do anything. If you see one of the first reviews that we had when we came here, there is this review, very nice review, but a very confused guest that was wondering. And he thought it was wonderful that the gardener, will help with the breakfast, will cook dinner. And then at night, when there was a plumbing problem, the gardener came and fixed it.
But he was confused. He didn't understand, that it was actually the chef that was helping with everything else. But that's what it is when you're, owner and innkeeper, you get to do it all.
And I would like to clarify one thing. We are not the new owners. We became owners with the person that actually purchased originally the place, Rakesh Taneja, great guy, good friend. And it was his place, and then we partnership with him.
Partnership.
So there's not the 2 of us.
Yes.
I need to say this because Rakesh will not listen to this, but if by any chance anybody does, he wants to retire and he can't. I need him. He can't retire. He is the brain, and he's the guy that puts everything together. And he is in Canada. He is an Indian gentleman, great guy, smart as a whip. And he is the guy that takes care of all the logistics
and
administration. When we have a problem and we're busy, we usually busy. Rakesh, there's a problem with this. Hang up within half an hour. Is calling you back, leaving you a message. Is done. So there's not just the 2 of us. We are here operating, but there's 3 of us, and Rakesh is, I would say, I tell him all the time, he has to work. We're having fun. We're having fun. It's not the same job. He works 8 hours a day in the computer, answering phones, answering this. And our worst day is when a dog pees on the floor inside a room. That's a bad day for us. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the voice of Victor Passalacqua and also his wife, Melissa Boon, who are the innkeepers, and he's the chef. She's a sommelier at the Elk Cove Inn and Spa. That's up in Elk, California, just a little tiny artistic town on the Mendocino coast. And the rock formations up there are incredible. And the place that they have there on this private cove has a very distinguished rock that rises up out of the ocean. That's part of the view there. And there are a lot of weddings that are held there. And I was able to stop there the other day coming back from a location shoot. We were filming over in the Willits area. And even though I live just south in the Sea Ranch, I was exhausted and I wanted to stop and stay over and they were so kind and courteous. And I just thought, I have got to have this couple on our show. So you are listening to KGUA in Gualala, 88.3 FM. We're streaming around the world at kgua.org. We're live on YouTube. I'm Leigh Anne Lindsey, your host today. And these two people are here with us to talk about how they came to the coast, what they're providing up there at this resort. And we're just having fun today. And I'd like to know how the two of you met. Now, I know, Melissa, I understand you're from the Dominican Republic. You still have a horse back there. That's another thing we've got in common. So how did you two meet?
So first I want to say thank you for inviting us again on the show. Thank you very much for that. We met in Miami, and Victor was in the food business. So he had a small it was a wine bar and French tapas, which I don't know if it's actually a word, but
it didn't exist at the time. That's a long time ago. I was doing, and that didn't exist in Miami, tapas bar, but French, with French wines and all appetizers. It's like Spanish, but in France. We have the same thing there, but it's just different.
Yeah, I used to live in San Francisco, and I worked in the tech industry, and we were on South of Market down by 4th Street, and there was a great tapas bar right near our offices. That was the first time I'd ever heard of tapas before. So we loved it. We loved it.
It's fun. You get to try a lot of different the different foods and smaller portion, and it's a fun way to and it's very informal. It's just
people ask tapas and they don't know what tapas is. Tapas is a cover. How does tapas start? When in Spain, in Madrid, actually by the water, there's a lot of flies, and people will have there were no wine glasses. There were a glass, and you put wine, a regular glass, small glasses, and then you put wine. But there were a lot of flies. So what people will do is put a piece of bread or a piece of ham or a piece of cheese, something on top, so there were no flies flying in. So that caught on, and people will have their drink, and they ask, "Can I have another cover?" Which is a tapa. "Can I have another cover, please?" So that's what became a tapa.
Did not know that.
That's why all tapas are supposed to be bite-sized and be able to take with one hand and one bite.
So that's where you guys met in Miami when you had this wine bar and the tapas.
Well, he had the restaurant, and he did food and wine, and I was in the wine business at the time, and I always joke because the guest always asks the same question. I always just it was a perfect pairing. He had the food and I had the wine, and the rest is history.
Well, why don't you guys describe a bit for the audience the town of Elk, and then what your resort is like? Give them a little bit of background on the resort itself too.
Scary sometimes. Sometimes it's scary
when it's foggy.
Oh, when it's foggy, it's beautiful.
The town of Elk, is a very small town, but it's there are still a few things to do. So if you come to the resort, you really don't need to go out and do anything. You can walk to the little town. It's about a 10-minute walk. There's the Elk store, which has sandwiches and other food and convenience.
It's a really nice store. It's the gentleman that keeps the store. Has very nice.
Sean, they have very good products.
Very good products, extreme. Bread delivery every day. We don't need to make lunch because our biggest problem is to maintain quality. They do a great job. He does a great job. They have the Mercantile.
They have the Mercantile as well.
The museum.
There's an art gallery, which actually I got this little bear that I'm wearing from a local artist here at the art gallery. There's a little museum that's also really interesting that people a lot of time just kind of pass by, thinking, museum in Elk, really? But
But it's the beginning of Mendocino. We didn't know that until we went there. We go like, wow. This little thing started everything else. with the woodworkers and the mills
With
and
all the
everything.
little towns up and down the coast, yes. But so you know, and a lot of our guests come here. It's funny because we have two different types of guests, and we have the guests that come here that want to, you know, go and visit and wine taste and go kayaking, horseback riding, you know, do all the possible activities in the area. But I have to say, for the most part, our guests come here to get away from everything. So they just come here
But
and
it
they
is
do
different.
nothing. They
Now we're getting a lot of new guests. A lot of the new guests that we've been getting for the last couple of years are people that came, younger people that came, and they wanted just to be out. They wanted to go walk, visit, and do all that stuff. Now they come back and they don't want to do anything.
they just want to, you know, hang out and
They're back.
watch the ocean, walk on the beach, have breakfast, go and grab a sandwich at the store, come back over here, join us for, we do a little social hour on weekend from 4:30 to 5:30 with you know, with snacks and drinks and a bonfire, and you know, they get to visit with other guests, and it's just nice and relaxing. Sometimes people just need to you know, to do nothing. It's good to do nothing.
That's the one thing I really noticed, that next morning I felt so refreshed. I had been able to decompress, and I think it was the first time in a while, because I've been working really hard on a documentary and also helping with the radio station here and a few other projects and a horse. But I just felt like it was restorative. It was refreshing. And I loved in that room I stayed in, where you could open up all the doors and the windows, and that sea breeze came in, and the sunlight came in. Yes, foggy at times, but that's the beauty of that place. And there are other places too there that are restaurants in Elk. I mean, it's a small, tiny North Coast town, very remote, but it has two excellent other restaurants. The Harbor House.
Oh, absolutely.
We interviewed with Matthew Kammerer and Amanda Nimek way years ago when they first got there. And then he got his 2 Michelin stars. And your food is right there at Michelin star level too. I just love your food. And then there is at the new Sacred Rock Resort, the Greenwood restaurant. I just ate there the other day, and that was also a great meal there. So it's a tiny little town, quaint, good place for people to get away and relax, like you were saying.
And there's a new restaurant coming now where Queenie's was.
Oh yes, they're going to be doing breakfast and lunch there. But so somebody referred to it the other day, like, you know, it's funny because Elk is becoming like a food destination, which, you know, it's a fun way to put it on the map. And you know, a lot of time people mention to us, it's like, oh, we've driven by here many times, or we always drive 128 and go north. You know, you never really think about going south of 128 when you get to the coast, because Mendocino and Fort Bragg are further north. So, you know, why would you go down to Elk? And then, you know, they hear about Elk because of the Harbor House, because of us now, because of Sacred Rock. And it's just, it's
and it's so different, you know, the cuisine is so different, you know, and that's what is fun. That it's totally different types of foods. You know, one is a Michelin and strives to be that. The other one strives to become that. Us, we don't strive anything. We just serve food. The new restaurant that is coming, you know, they're going to do nice lunches. So everything is good for different reasons, maybe. But all the food is good everywhere around here. You know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, they all cook well.
Yeah, and we're talking about where Queenie's used to be, and we all love Queenie's, but now that's being replaced by a restaurant that Elise Hops and her husband, I think it's David,
yes,
Gama in Point Arena, and they used to work with Matthew at
exactly
Harbor House and in San Francisco at Cezanne. So that's their path, but they also had been trained in Utah in Japanese cuisine, and that's why they decided to start Gama. And we love going to Gama too. Another connecting point is back to the Elk store. That so many quality products in there, and Sean picked up my family's olive oil too. So if you go in there, look for Lindholm olive oil. You'll see it there on the shelf.
we have it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we have it. We have it. Oh, that's you.
Hill
Can
County.
we get a discount? It's really good.
I love these little crossovers and tie-ins. And so you, what date was it that you first stopped and saw this resort? I mean, what brought you to this area?
Really, like I said at the very beginning, it was happenstance. We got stuck in Colorado for 3 months. We were living with some friends. We had been helping them move from Florida, and again with really no plan and not being able to continue our trips with the RV. So after 3 months, we decided that it was time to figure something out, and we're both from the hospitality industry. Just started looking into that, but it was a very insecure times for hospitality because most people weren't traveling and stuff. So we started looking. I had signed up for this little journal called the Caretaker Gazette with the odd jobs, and we applied for a couple. There was an inn in Colorado, not too far from where we were, another one in New York, and then this one here. And we started talking to Rakesh, who is now our partner, and we all took a leap of faith. And
for 6 months,
we decided, we told them that for 6 months, we'd be happy to come and to figure things out. And he asked us for a year because everything was closed. The place had been closed for 3 months.
6 months.
There was no more team. There was nothing. We started from ground zero. And we arrived, I remember we arrived for Victor's birthday on May 22nd, 2020. And we really thought it was going to be an intermittent thing. It was going to be something for a moment, and then we would move on and continue with our plans. But the moment we arrived, we absolutely fell in love.
You absolutely fell in love.
I absolutely fell in love.
She woke up that morning and she said, I want to be here.
I want to be here. I felt like I was home and like I was meant to be here. And I never had that feeling before. I've always been a traveler. My dad always took us everywhere, and I could never really settle down anywhere. There's always something else to see. And here, even after 3 years, again, I joke around with the guests, we've had previous, the property has previous owner, and the first lady, Hildren, was here for, I believe, 28 years. And then Elaine bought it, and she was here for 30 years. So I tell the guests, I say, well, we have another 25 years to go, So and that's what brought us here. And then about 3 months later,
we start looking. Melissa wanted to stay, so I started actually not even a lady, another nun, actually. I don't know why.
It was a sign.
It was a sign. Yeah, she talked to somebody. She's a local. She talked to somebody that had a property really close by, and put me in touch with that person. So I spoke with the person and told me we start talking. And
another small inn.
Another small inn, smaller. It was just for us, I think it was 6-7 rooms, something small, and we struck a deal. So I came with Rakesh and told him, this is our plan. We talk about this, about that, and this is what we're doing. And he said, why don't you buy here? Because we can't, not the same price. So then we came to a very good arrangement, and that way we became partners. So at that point is that we really start realizing the extent of work that this place had. And it was hard, but it was fun. I discovered YouTube.
On how to fix things,
how to fix everything, how to do anything, how to actually dive inside a septic tank to retrieve the motor. I learned that from YouTube. It was awesome.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Victor Passalacqua and Melissa Boon, who have become the newest partners. I have to say that of the Elk Cove Inn and Spa in Elk, just about 45 minutes north of Gualala. And that's the other thing you guys were talking about. People sometimes don't turn south when they come off of 128 Anderson Valley and going north of Mendocino or Fort Bragg. Well, here in the Sea Ranch in Gualala, people are they're coming up from Sonoma, Santa Rosa, San Francisco, Sacramento, and they come here, and not many will venture further north.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wanted to share with our audience here, to let the Sea Ranchers know, and Gualala folks and Point Arena folks, hey, go on up a little further and check out this gem of a place where there's a wonderful French restaurant of all things. I mean, we have so few restaurants along our coast that we love to explore and go find new restaurants. And I've learned through the pandemic and even before that I love like mini staycations. So even though we live here on the coast, we can go and stay at these wonderful locations all up and down our coast and not have to venture very far. I mean, it's a wonderful staycation kind of place there in Elk. And again, I have to let the audience know, because this is part of what we do here on public radio. You're listening to KGUA in Gualala 88.3 FM, and we stream at kgua.org, and we're live on YouTube, so you can watch this anytime. And later on, we're going to edit the show and upload it to SoundCloud as a podcast, and you can listen to it there anytime, and it will repeat at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock today. And I'm just really enjoying this conversation with the two of you because of the way that you found this place, the way that it was sort of like you went with the flow, and the way that it came about was kind of meant to be in a way. And then with the nun story of how the restaurant started, how long ago was that? Was that a couple of years back when
It was 2020. It was still during
When
COVID.
we started.
It was it was about 3, maybe 2 months later.
What happened with the nun is that she came, she stayed, and when she left, all of a sudden, first responders start coming, but they had vouchers and they had money, and you go like, we can't get people, but then we had to. But then they're there and they have to eat.
right?
So, and my only condition when we started, I wanted to do two things. One thing is I didn't want to have anything to do with cooking. And the second thing is I wanted to eventually be able to work myself and get a job at a 7-Eleven. That's what I always wanted to do. I love hot dogs, and it's not a joke, it's true. I love hot dogs and I love slushies. And when we go anywhere, I see a 7-Eleven, I have to stop and go and get 2, 3 hot dogs, different dogs, I like it, so I said that that would be a perfect job for me. No responsibility, I'm nobody's boss. I don't have to take care of anything. I sit down, I eat hot dogs, slushies, and I sell the rest. I would love to do that. So when we come here, we again, it wasn't a restaurant, it wasn't a business. It was, now you have to feed people. After 3 weeks, then you're spending money. I mean, you're spending money. And I'm driving every day 40, 50 minutes, one way and another, trying to get meat, trying to get anything to feed sometimes 20 people. So we decided, listen, that's not feasible. We can do that, so we're going to charge to cover the food costs. And then other people start coming in, but now they wanted food. It's not a snack, they wanted food. So we just started, and honestly, we started having fun. All of a sudden, you get to do what you want. There's no other choice for anyone. So I'm going like, okay, let's cook then. Let's open a restaurant, but a table d'hote, meaning is going to be no choices. And then we're in the United States, that doesn't work. It's not France, And people want to have choices. So I decided to do a 6-course meal for $50, 4 appetizers, choice of 5 or 6 different main courses, and 1 dessert. And every day I will change everything. Every day, new appetizers, new main courses, new desserts. So then it became fun. That was fun. It was more work, but it was fun. And at the same time with Melissa, we didn't have any wines. We have nothing. It's going and trying to buy stuff to pair with the food. But we're talking about going to the market, going anywhere that was open to try to get something. And that's how it started. And
Where-
that's what the line of no changes, no additions, no deletions, no nothing. No nothing, because I can't.
So describe where you get some of these ingredients, and then describe some of the meals that you prepare.
Let's say when we arrive, there is a gentleman that lives here in Elk that is part of the fire department. His name is Bob, and he is a commercial salmon fisherman. At the time, everything is closed. So he is going fishing and he has some salmon. So basically, we didn't know each other. We just met, start talking. And we got, I think, I told him no at the beginning, because I have no use for salmon. And then Rakesh was here and he tells me, why don't you just get the salmon and, use it? And I go like as a restaurant. Okay. So that is the way I started. I get the salmon from him. We go downstairs to the beach and we get the sea urchin. We get the seaweeds. We all around here, we have gooseberries all over. Huckleberries all over. So we will get those. Fortunate Farm. Jason, what's his name? Jake. It was a chef that became a farmer. We met, we started talking, and he had some stuff. So that's, you just go around and get, what is your menu today? I don't know. I have to go and see what they have. Fish. I don't fish myself, so I can tell you what I can get. Otherwise, you go and you get. And now we're getting a lot more sophisticated. We talk to the people from Covelo, and you get a side of beef, and you get the pork, and you get this, and you get that. We get to age it ourselves. So it's basically we're trying to stay away from I want strawberries in December. I can get it, and I won't buy strawberries from Mexico. I won't. Why? We have other fruits here. Let's go with the seasons. We cannot have broccoli in July. I can buy it.
Right.
I can buy it.
You can look for organic ingredients, and it's, boy, you talk about farm and sea to table, and then the way that you upscale it with the French.
But it's going mushroom. Melissa loves going out. So, and it's funny, we go with friends sometimes and they notice the difference. Melissa loves to do it. Me, it's a job. I need to get mushrooms. I need to get by the end of the year, I need to get at least 150 pounds of mushrooms. Otherwise, I don't get enough. I need to treat them. I need to dry them. I like to air dry them. So it does take time. So that is the approach. What do we have? What there's around? That's where we start getting our own chicken. That's where we start getting our own goats. That's where we start getting our own quails. We need the eggs, the bees. We need the eggs. It was never a matter of, I would love to do that. It was always a matter, we need to have this. How do we do it? We need to have eggs. And this was 2 years ago. Look at the price of eggs now. Right. We spent zero, nothing.
For me, it was actually, again, kind of a dream come true too, because like I said before, when we started on our little RVing journey, I really had in mind to, like I said, just learn how to learn how to homestead and learn how to be self-sufficient. And here it's even better because we get to share. We have an outlet for everything that we do. So, we went from having 4 chickens that were putting 4 eggs a day for us personally to having 80 chickens, but to be able to share that with the guests. And, the same thing when you tell the guest that you just went to pick the tomatoes or just went to get the lettuce. You have the bees, do you have, and people get really excited.
But it's funny because we have the happy hour. And usually Melissa is the one that picks up the salad, the herbs, and all that stuff. Because by that time I'm busy. in the kitchen. And we don't like to put herbs or anything in the fridge. So basically, during happy hour, she will go to the greenhouse. We have different gardens, and she will pick what they need. And this lady goes like, "Is that what I'm going to eat?" And she goes, "What are you having today?" You know, and the salad and the burrata. Yeah, your tomato, and this is your salad. So it's not commercial, you know. It's not commercial. It's really about the you pick the lettuce to that point, you know. You pick. We don't have 200 customers.
But that's also why, and you know, we haven't mentioned that, but we work in a very different way. This is not a regular restaurant. We have a very small
I
dining
was
room.
going
in
to ask
Keystone.
you, when are you open, and can outside guests come in? The public, I mean, how do you have it operating?
Absolutely. So we are open from Thursday through Monday, from 6 to 7:30. So it's very short sitting. But again, we have a very small dining room, and we are not trying to
Double
we're not
seating.
trying to flip tables. I mean, people come there again to relax, to watch the view. The view is amazing out of our of
In
our
a
dining
commercial,
room.
in a regular restaurant, your sitting is going to be about an hour and a half. In a restaurant, it's about 3 hours. People come in at 6 and they leave at 9. The people that come in at 7, 11, 11:30, you know, it's like we don't double book. The table is your table. It's yours.
For the whole night, if you
Enjoy
like.
yourself. Enjoy yourself. You know, especially now, a lot of people are having many courses. So they come, they eat. I mean, it's not common that two people will have 5 appetizers and 3 main courses. So they come, they go outside, they smoke, they have a drink, they come back, they continue eating, they stop, they go outside, they come back, they keep on eating. Can I take this outside? Of course. You know what I mean? It's
You delivered to my room when I
We
was.
do. That's right.
is what you want.
We also do room service. So, and yes, we are definitely open to, out of house guests. Like I said, the
Reservation.
only thing that is a little bit different is that we do work with reservations only, and we need to have a pre-order in by noon. There's a copy of our menu on the website. So, again, because this was never originally a restaurant, we have a very small kitchen, and Victor works by himself in the kitchen. So there's nobody else in there. And he cooks only what's on order. We have an idea of zero waste. And, there's so many other restaurants where you're cooking a certain quantity and trying to sell that quantity that you've cooked, for the next few days or for the weeks. Well, here, it's really, we only cook whatever is being served that night. So sometimes options like fish options and things like that are easier to do last minute, but some of the stews like the lamb shank or the short rib bourguignon or the vilo sabuco, it takes 3 or 4 hours to cook. So there's no way that we can do that. So
5 hours to cook. It takes 5 hours to cook.
I had that veal ossobuco, and I loved it. And I love the tuna tartare. That was my favorite. I've had that so many places, and that was the best I've ever had. So
you know why?
What's that?
It's fresh.
It's fresh.
It's fresh. There's nothing in there. We don't do anything special. It's just the best possible ingredients that you can get.
But you do, I mean, maybe not a tuna tartare so much, but I mean, a lot of, again, like the stews and stuff like that is not just the ingredient. I mean, the sauces, and that's what I'm in the front of the house. So, I listen to the comments, and people is just, is the depth of the flavors and the sauces and the silkiness, and, it's just, it's.
But again, it takes 5 to 6 hours.
Yes.
It is, and now is great because people understand the customers that we have, and we're doing all right, and the people understand. Yesterday we had a situation that this lady ordered shrimp. So when I get the shrimp from Baja, they're dead. When were they dead? How did they die? How long was, I'm not gonna serve them. And I told the lady, listen, I'm sorry, I know you ordered shrimp, but this is my dilemma. And she looks at me and she goes, well, then do what you want to do. I will never give you anything bad. That's what I'm trying to say. Anything that we do, we try to make it, would you eat it yourself? It's for me. It's for me. It's for me, and the way we eat, the way we like to do things is what we offer to others. And that was the idea, to be an extension of home. So it's home. There is not really a lot of etiquette. It's just fun.
And that's the feel of the whole place. I feel, there's a lot of places that are.
Sorry, that was a cat.
There's a lot of places that are, everybody has a different identity. And after being here for 3 years, I was telling this to Victor the other day, I feel that we finally have our own personality, that, we've created this thing that, because the inn had been here for a long time. It's been an inn since 1968, and had, again, 2 owners, and had its own thing going. And now we've created something different, and it has a different ambiance, and it's for us, it's home away from home for our guests. And we have so many guests that come
That's
here.
what I felt, was home away from home.
Yeah.
Felt like
And
just stay here for a month. It felt like I was at home. So why don't you describe some of that, since we've been talking about the food side of things? Why don't you describe what these rooms are like and what experience people could have? Because people could go up there for the food to begin with, and then they can stay over so they can have their drinks and so forth and not have to drive home.
absolutely.
A good experience to express that, I think, would be the lady, the one that built the place, Hitron.
Mhm.
When she came and she cried, she built the place. And when she came, she said that she had come a couple of times, but she didn't want to come back. And her daughter met Melissa somehow, and Melissa invited them. And
Really?
the lady, and the lady came, and after 1 hour, she was crying. She was literally crying because she said, you understood the place. At last, somebody understood the place and is doing, and she was actually in tears.
Wow.
She had put a lot of, I mean, her whole life in the place.
She built the place.
We understood that, yeah. So she turned the place into a bed and breakfast, and she, from what I understand, she was here in her early 20s, and she had a daughter with her, and then she gave birth to another daughter here on the property, and it was amazing spending time with with both her and the daughter, who had grown up on the property, and it was just nice to see the history and to see little things that that you notice but you don't know the history of, and that was fun. But so we have 16 rooms, and most of those rooms are ocean view. We do have, I think it's 5 rooms that are that are garden view. All the rooms are very different, besides the suites that were built later in the early 1990s. And since we've been here, we've updated them. Not a huge upgrade, it's just a facelift, I mean, there's some painting that needed to be done, there's some upholstery, there's some of the old the old furniture, that just needed to be refinished. And you know how it is around here, you can't just go to the furniture store and get something. So we decided to give the guests the experience of having all the amenities that a modern place or any other place gives you, but with things of the past, and just making the both of them work together.
Yeah, you get that feel of the old days, of the lumber days, and the coast was built with lots of wood, and it came from locally produced items.
Yeah.
Every time we do any kind of renovation, my first job is to go and look for the wood. And that means going to places that are being dismantled or demolished, and get that first growth from the 1900s. We had an opportunity. I mean, we still have a guy that works with us that is a master of wood. So he taught us how to do that. So basically, searching the product. So when you have a piece of wood that is coming in the property, no matter what it is the same one that the place was built. Even the bricks. I mean, to build some spaces, we traveled 3 hours to dismantle a 400-year-old fireplace in a house.
And so we use reclaimed wood, and again, other, furnitures from, was it the Refine store over there in,
Yeah.
Fort Bragg? We think they do a great job, and it's kind of fun. I mean, you have to go and stand in line on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock to get a piece of furniture, to see if you can get anything. So
No, but the funny thing is that she actually checks their website and she's looking for something. So it's like hunting, oh, they have the table. They have the table that goes there. So we have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning to wait in line to get a table for $20.
And you're creating that character, though, that wonderful atmosphere for the people who come and visit there, right?
No, but that's the thing. We
That's
don't try to be new. We don't
Yes.
try to be new,
It's definitely not luxurious. It's cozy. I mean,
It's home.
the rooms are cozy.
It's home. It's home.
We have 4 dogs of our own and 2 cats, and of course all the menagerie and the farm animals and all of that. But we're also very pet friendly. We love our dogs, and we love your dogs too.
Pet friendly is very hard to find.
Yes.
So you're pet friendly, and you have a lot of weddings there too.
Yes.
It describes how that can work for someone who might want to plan a wedding there.
So we started, the place has been doing elopement for a really long time. We have the staple of the inn, and what people recognize us by is the gazebo. So we have a beautiful gingerbread gazebo on the cliff, and it's one of those that you can see as you drive by. And so it was a very popular place for elopements, all throughout the years, even before we were here, of course. And elopements from 2, just a couple, which is very intimate and romantic, up to 10 guests if you want to bring your closest friend and just make a memory out of it. And we also have a direct access to the beach, which not a lot of properties on the coast have that direct access to the beach, and it is not a private beach, and we can't say that it is, but it certainly feels like it, because there's barely anybody that goes
Nobody
there.
else can go there.
Only a few of the locals who go and walk their dogs, and we'll start talking to you. So that's also really neat. So you can get some really nice shots of of the ceremony and the gazebo, some really beautiful shots in the property and the gardens, or on the beach, and that makes, again, for some really beautiful memories. And then with COVID, again, we started getting a lot of inquiries for weddings that were going from 200 people to 30 people, and so we're like, well, squeezing everybody around the gazebo is going to be a little bit tight. So we started creating this little, I call it the alcove, and so it's, again, right on the cliff underneath the gazebo, in which you could put like a live band, if you wanted to have up a live band in the gazebo, and then you have the ceremony right below, and it's a beautiful view.
Area for 40 people.
We can fit up to 50 people on those on the benches there, and then we also do, which is, again, a little bit different from other places. We do the catering ourselves, so it is work as a restaurant. So you can work with the menu that we have, or we create a menu according to your budget and to what you like. We have a beautiful deck that we use, and you can dress up or dress down as you like, and so it's been a really it's a dreamy place for weddings. It really is.
We've been talking today to Melissa Boon and also Victor Passalacqua, who are the innkeepers, and they've partnered with, say the name again of the partner.
Rakesh Taneja.
Rakesh Taneja, who's the owner, and they've partnered to run this beautiful inn on the northern California coast in the county of Mendocino. And it's really about halfway in between Westport and Gualala. So it's a beautiful location with art stores and other little restaurants, but it's a quaint little remote town that has this beautiful resort called the Elk Cove Inn and Spa. And we didn't really talk about the spa, but we've got like a minute left if you wanted to talk about that or anything else that you'd like to mention today to our guests.
We can talk, the spa, because it is part of the name. So, just We do have, the spa on the property is nestled in the main mansion, and we also have within the room we have a steam room and a dry sauna. So we work with some massage therapists. They're on call. They're not on the property, so we do need to have reservations. But we are open for both our in-house guests or out-of-house guests. And in that room, we also have again the steam room and dry sauna, and you can.
Oh, it seems we lost your audio somehow. There.
Sorry, I got muted. You could book just for the steam and sauna as well. So same place, I mean, it's a great place to come and relax, and the spa is just part of that health retreat and relaxation and just winding down.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining me here today. We are at the 10 o'clock hour, so we're going to have to say so long to our guests.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. And thank you both. And I'm glad that you had a good 4th of July bonfire on the beach too.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye. And this is KGUA in Gualala 88.3 FM. I'm Leigh Anne Lindsey, and we have been live on YouTube, and we're going to say goodbye to our YouTube watchers. And this will repeat from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. today.